Welcome to our QPR Preview Show ahead of the trip to high-flying Burnley for a QPR side that is at least off the bottom of the table following a 1-1 draw against Coventry. It was only 1 point, though, from two home games this week, Dave. So the first question is, was the draw with Coventry a good result or not?
I wouldn't say it was a good result. It's another home game against a team in the bottom half, which we haven't won. It's not going to be long before you're going to be playing teams up the top, and you're not. And draws will be good results against them. So I wouldn't say it's a good result overall, but given how the game went, I think you've probably got to take the point. We were behind early, and I thought when they scored early, you just thought, oh, here we go again, and heads would go down. But to be fair to them, they probably performed better than they have for a few games and deserved a point in the end. So you've got to take the positives and take the point. But, you know, the form isn't great, and we're coming into a run now where we're going to be playing the proper teams, really. And, we've left ourselves with a lot to do again.
Yeah, I think it was an okay result after being behind in the game. It would have been a better result if we'd obviously beaten Portsmouth at the weekend.
Mm.
You said there was some positives to find. What were they?
I'm clinging at straws really, but I thought we were a bit better in midfield than we have been for a few games. Think for against Portsmouth, the midfield were absolutely awful, just never in the game. But I thought Varane made a big difference. He was good on the ball. He was winning the ball back. He could have done a lot better for their goal in clearing. His clearance was pathetic, to be honest. But he got better after that, and it's probably his best performance for us. I thought Saito on the left was really good, coming on as a wing back. I thought he caused them a lot of problems. He was good. I thought Smith did well on the other side. So it was a better performance, but I don't want to over-egg it too much. I wouldn't even say it was a good overall performance, but it was better than it has been.
Yeah, there are positives to find. I mean, it stops the losing streak, which is one of the chief
Mm.
ones, isn't it? Gives us something to try and build on. Because being bottom of the table, it's just mental baggage, I think, for any team. And having that on our shoulders, it creates headlines. We had good spells in the game. And I think over 90 minutes by QPR standards this season, it was one of our more consistent performances. Far from good, but as you said, a bit better. As we discussed, though, 1 point from the two games, ultimately not enough for the position we're in. And it does feel like we've burned through all of our winnable fixtures a bit, doesn't it? When you look at the ones to come, second, first, eighth, and third are the positions of our next four matches. It literally couldn't be any tougher. Any win from those games, it's going to require no more mistakes. Another big step up in performance levels from QPR. It's a good sign, though, I thought, that despite us conceding that early goal, it was a big blow to do that 4 minutes into the game. I thought we were going to collapse, but we didn't give up. That's a good sign as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, they kept going. I mean, even in the second half, I thought a second goal was inevitable for Coventry. They were getting a couple of chances, but they kept going and they got a goal out of the blue a little bit, and then that kind of gained us momentum. You know, they've got to take what they can in a minute. They're clearly not playing well. He can't find what his best team is at the minute. It all looks a bit of a mismatch of the team. I don't think they've. You look at all the players we've got, and it's really hard to say that's our best team. You just think, well, how does he fit in? How does this one fit in? It's hard how you fit one in, and it comes down to recruitment. I don't know what they were doing with recruitment. They seem to have bought players that they think could be good, but not necessarily can make a good team. And you do need a good team if you're going to get anywhere. So I do think it looks a mess. But I say it was good character to come back and get something out of the game, and it is something to build on. They need to back that up now in the next couple of games.
Yeah, it was important not to lose. I think that was a fundamental thing. I mean, a year ago, we were in a similar run, couldn't get a win. But under Gareth Ainsworth, we were commenting every week how the team almost didn't seem to care. Like
Yeah.
players were almost waiting for Ainsworth to get sacked. But there's no sign of that yet, which is, like I say, it's a positive. They seem to believe in what the manager wants them to do. They're just not always doing it very well. Would have been easy to fold, I think, after conceding that early goal. And I think it makes it more of an acceptable result given where we've been. But we still haven't won at home. And we should say as well that all three goals we conceded this week, totally preventable, weren't they?
Oh, they were shambolic, all of them. To be honest, I mean, the one against Coventry. I mean, it's a counter attack, and that can happen. And they've sort of defended the first part of it well, but then Varane's just got to put his foot through it and
It
clear
was
the
them
ball, and he
Bailey.
hasn't.
It's them Bailey, who did that
Was
one.
it Dembele who did? Was it? I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was Varane. But yeah, it was just such a weak clearance. And then the shot. we've praised Nardi. He's got to save that. It's not a hard shot. And then even on the line, Cook, it was like I know it kind of deflected away from him, but get a foot on it and clear the ball. It was so poor. And the Portsmouth too was, I mean, it was laughable, wasn't it? I mean, the Foxes defended. I mean, we were saying last week it'd be good to get him back for some experience. Blimey, it looked like he never played the game before. I don't know what he was doing with those two goals. It was really poor. Um, you know, and that's the frustration with those two games. We haven't played two brilliant teams. Coventry have got good players, but weren't particularly good, I didn't think, last night. And we've ended up only getting 1 point from those two games because of just really stupid mistakes. We should have comfortably won both games, even though we didn't play well. We should have won both games. Chairs missed chances against Portsmouth, and and giving those sort of goals away, it's really poor, and it has to improve.
Yeah, I mean Morgan Fox, you touched on there. He may as well have had a Portsmouth shirt on. I saw some people
Yeah,
joking, and it's just for all three goals. They're all the same kind of scenario where Dembele and Fox, both of them, they just need to put the ball in Rose's head. Then the
yeah,
defense can reset and defend, and nothing comes of it. And Marty Cifuentes, he can't legislate for that. He can set them up. They can have every plan in the world. But if you go out and make individual errors like that, it's going to cost the team. You're right as well, Paul Nardi. He saves unbelievable from the header down at his feet, keeps that one out, and then lets the next one go through his fingers
yeah.
again. What can the manager do about that? He also can't legislate for Ilias Chair. I mean, obviously, he's probably everyone's favourite player, but the chance he missed against Portsmouth feels like another moment that could haunt us if this winless run carries on any longer. Won't be easy to get 3 points with chances like that being missed. So, as we head to second in the table, Burnley, it's not getting any easier. Let's move on to look at that one. And when we last went to Turf Moor, QPR headed there on a run of 7 league games without a win. This time we head there again on a run of 7 league games without a win, which is timing you just couldn't script. QPR have a terrible record against Burnley generally. Burnley have won nearly double the amount of matches historically than QPR have won. But somehow, in this fixture 18 months ago, QPR won 2-1 at Turf Moor, ending Burnley's long unbeaten home record at the time. Still the only home match I think they've lost at this level in many years. Still has to rank Dave as one of your fondest memories in recent years.
Yeah, it was insane. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I remember it was my son's birthday that weekend, and we had family over, and I was just like, "Don't even, no one tell me the score. I don't want to know about it." And I just couldn't believe it when it come through. Um, it just come out of absolutely nowhere, didn't it? Didn't it? That result and performance, and they're probably going to need something similar in this one. I don't think Burnley are as good as they were then. I thought they were a lot more excited and in great form at that point. They're not. I mean, they're a good side. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they've been as brilliant yet so far this season. But it's a daunting trip, and you look and they don't lose many games, especially Scott Parker in this division. His teams are normally quite dour, but they don't lose many games, and they're always difficult to beat. So yeah, they're gonna have to go some to get anything at the weekend.
Yeah, back in 2000 or last year, it was only 18 months ago. It seems so long ago to me, that game, but I can't believe it was only last year. It was one of those afternoons, wasn't it? Right, football is the greatest game on earth because you just never know. And
Mm.
that is the belief we have to take into this match on Saturday when a win on paper looks just as unlikely. I remember us spending most of the first half just clearing the ball off the line, but we somehow came away with the 3 points. And like I say, we have to hope we could do the same on Saturday. They're not the same side that they were then. We can do it, perhaps with maybe less clearing it off the line this time. As for Burnley, promoted with 101 points, relegated with just 24 points, does make you wonder what is the point sometimes of the going between the leagues at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, the gap is incredible, isn't it? You see how, I mean, they were pretty poor. They were so good the year they went up, and then were pretty rubbish last year, and they've come down with pretty similar side, and they're up the top again. And you see, like last year, we sort of talked about how strong the league was with like your Leicesters and Southamptons, and they've gone up, and they all look pretty ropey, didn't they? They look like they can't close that gap. It just seems another planet, the Premier League, to where we are, and I imagine they'll probably go up again and then struggle again next year, come back down again. You know, it is weird how football's working at the minute. There doesn't seem to be any hope of actually staying there for a few years. That you could only a couple of years ago, like your likes of Brentford and Fulham managed it, but it looks very difficult to do now.
Yeah, I thought they would do better than they did in the Premier League because they went up with such a style and a plan of what they were going to do. Just never got hit the ground running at all, did they? I'd still rather have the adventures and ups and downs of Burnley that they have rather than
Yeah.
a decade at this level like QPR. but it's still pretty depressing knowing that every other season is going to be one where you barely win a game. Although I know some people are going to joke that's what QPR are doing anyway. Um, what did you make of the appointment of Scott Parker? Because I don't think anyone else would have appointed him, would they?
No, it was an odd one. I thought they'd probably go for a similar sort of style that they had with Company. They seem to have gone with a new way of playing and trying to be like quite an open attacking team. But Scott Parker isn't that. But I suppose he's someone who's got a pedigree of getting teams out of this division. He's done it with Fulham and Bournemouth, and I think he'll probably do it this year with Burnley. They haven't been particularly exciting so far, but like you said before, they're second in the league, so they're doing something right. And I think that they'll go if they don't go up, they'll be in the playoffs. They're going to be top six definitely. I'm not a huge fan of Scott Parker as a manager, but he does do a job at this level.
Yeah, it's probably like a risk averse appointment, isn't it? Because you just
Mm.
know you're going to get the basics bang on and straight away they've got an amazing defense, hard to beat. May not be as glorious like we discussed as it was under Vincent Company, but Scott Parker's style will get points on the board. I've seen some of their fans commenting that they need more urgency, and some of them aren't happy, but it speaks volumes that they're having a season that would be the envy of most sides, and yet they have room for improvement. Could be ominous for QPR. I looked in the three games they had before the international break. There was only one goal in all three games, so maybe not be the best to watch. But if it wins game of football, does anybody care at 5 p.m. on a Saturday? I know QPR would take any type of win right now.
Yeah.
Overall, Burnley are 8 unbeaten, yet to lose at home. They've only conceded one goal in the last 5 games. So, like I say, it's going to be a formidable opponent for QPR. And let's move on to the hoops, where we've got lots of talking points this week. But let's try and start with a positive. Tuesday night saviour, Kieran Morgan, came out of nowhere this week, didn't he? And could he get a start?
He could do. I thought he was good when he come on against Portsmouth as well. Just showed like a intent to pass the ball forward, which was like alien to how we'd been before he came on. And he did it again when he come on against Coventry. He was positive on the ball. He did well with his goal. I mean, in truth, the keeper should have saved it. It was straight at him, and he seemed to dive past it. But he's got a shot on target, and it was a lovely pullback from Smith as well. And if you don't shoot, you don't score. And he, he's got himself on the score sheet early. I definitely, I don't think he'll start at the weekend, but he should be involved around the squad. And he looks like he's, someone who we could see a lot of this season. He's been impressive so far.
Yeah, he has come out of nowhere though because he wasn't even really involved in pre-season. There was like Alfie
Yeah.
Tuck, etc., all involved a bit more than he was. I don't think he'll start either. Away at Burnley, it's a tough one to throw him in for his first start. But the fact that it was Morgan who came on against Coventry and not Madsen, that spoke volumes again about the recruitment. It already looks poor, and it's a free transfer. 18-year-old from Spurs saving us. Definitely going to be questions in the boardroom at the moment, especially if things keep spiraling as they have been. I think in midfield it'll be Field and Varane, not Morgan. But in front of them, is it time to drop Dembele?
I think it could be. He's kind of plays in fits and starts. Then he has like a good 5 minutes and then disappears from the game. I thought it was right that he went off quite early in the Coventry game. I thought they needed to make a change. It wasn't really happening for him. Yeah, I think I'd probably consider leaving him out. I don't think it's really worked. It's hard how they're fitting him in at the minute. He played more through the middle against Coventry. It didn't really work, even though that's probably been where he's looked at his best for us. But yeah, I don't think it'll hurt to leave him out for a few games, bringing him off the bench, and then getting back in again. He's definitely got quality, and there's a lot of potential with him. But he's on a bit of a poor run, same as a lot of them at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. If it's going to be dropped, it's just because he doesn't look like he's in good form, and the selection should be based on that, really. And I don't know whether teams are finding him out a little bit. His lightweightness is kind of being exposed a little bit. Really poor against Coventry. I mean, we seem to be waiting for fouls that were never going to come, and then we lose possession, and he's out of position. And I would drop him maybe for Anderson, who looked much more like his old self in his cameo, much better, helps us to keep possession as well, which could be useful away from home. Ilias Chair, obviously still being managed back, was withdrawn on 57 minutes, so I expect he'd be okay to start again. But Kenneth Powell, he's obviously going to be a big doubt after going off. Can you see Saito playing left wing back again, or with Powell out, would you go for a more standard back four with Fox at left back?
I think he'll probably go with Fox at left back. I mean, he does seem. I know he had a poor game last week, but he does seem to trust him. Um, I suppose, yeah, the other option is you go with a back three again and you go with Saito as a left wing back. But I think he'll probably bring Fox in. I can't imagine Powell will play at the weekend. You know, it's only a couple of days between the games, so you wouldn't have thought he'd recover in time. But I'd probably look to get Saito involved. I'd personally probably play him ahead of Chair at the minute. I know he's coming back from injury, but I think he's been poor the first couple of games he's come back. He hasn't made the impact at all, and he's another one I'd be looking at, and maybe looking at someone who's more in form at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. And he kept shooting from outside the box. I know he's always done that, but he wasn't choosing the right options. And I know he's rusty, but maybe him coming off the bench, it's an option to have, isn't it? And it can impact the game that way. In terms of the defense, I would go probably with Morgan Fox myself, even though I don't know why Marty Cifuentes would trust him after last Saturday, like you said. But at left back, he did a job there against Swansea away from home last season, and it gives us like a really solid old school back four. So I think that's what he may go for with it being a tough away game. And now here's the hot topic of the week, which is probably going to create a lot of debate in the comments. Zan Celar up front for this game. If Michael Frey's calf injury is minor, as the club said it was, we'd assume he'd start if he's fit to. If not, it's going to be Zan Celar again, we'd assume. But he's been getting absolutely slaughtered on all the forums and on social media. What did you make of Celar's performance against Coventry?
Not good. I thought he was poor. I feel a bit for him because he is getting. And I thought the crowd turned on him a bit in the Coventry game, but for me, it's just an accumulation of how we've signed strikers years. You go back to Lyndon Dykes, Macaulay Bonne, and all around them. It was like, well, they'd be better playing in a front two, but we didn't play a front two, so why did you sign them? They're better if we get crosses in early from them to score more goals, but we haven't got players who do that. And it feels the same with Salah. He seems to need balls put into him in the 6 yard box, but we've recruited a load of players that don't do that. So there's no joined up thinking. So I feel for him a little bit, but he can add a bit of urgency to his game. He was very lethargic, I thought, in that game. And, Alfie Lloyd come on and he just run around a bit. And you just thought, well, that was an improvement. It just felt like it got the team going a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I didn't think Lloyd was particularly good when he came on, but it just a bit of enthusiasm and closing down was a lot better. And I hope Celar comes good. He's only played a few games, and I hope I eat my words with him. But he just reminds me of these Lyndon Dykes, Macaulay Bonne, Connor Washington signings we've made. That's just gonna peter out, and you think, why have we spent money on this? And yeah, there's a lot of warning signs of him at the minute.
Yeah, I'm going to defend him slightly. I mean, he's been poor. I agree. You wouldn't rank him 4 or 5 out of 10 his performances. He needs to be braver, gamble a bit more. But I do feel like our fans are just on him now straight away, rightly or wrongly. Everybody's entitled to express their views, but there was one incident where Kieran Morgan drilled a ball straight at Celar midway inside our half, virtually impossible to control, and it bounced off Celar, and there were audible groans everywhere. When Alfie Lloyd came on, he lost it twice in our own half in similar positions, didn't get a similar reaction, probably didn't even get any reaction. The fact that Sellers come in for big money by QPR standards, it's just a noose around his neck and he's not scored. And it's just, again, I've used this phrase before, but it's just spiraling now. You can feel it. Everyone is just, he makes one mistake, doesn't close down, and people are like really criticizing him. Also, to defend him slightly, he's often the only player in the box. We have nobody pulling defenders away to create space for him, so he's easier to mark. On a number of crosses, if anyone watches it back, you look, Celery's got 2 defenders on him, makes his job very hard. Even if he reads the cross, he's being blocked, pulled, no other QPR players near him. So he needs support. You've touched on it. We don't play the way that suits him. So what were they thinking with recruitment? It's such a big question mark, that isn't it? Why have they signed a striker? What have they seen to then throw him into this team where it clearly doesn't suit him?
He's such a different style of striker to Frey as well. So you think, our attacking players are not the best for giving service to forwards, but they're completely different sort of players. If you go back to probably the best season is the Warnock promotion season. You had Helgeson as your main number 9, and his job was to hold the ball up, and then you get Tarap and Hogan and Frame and everyone playing off him. But his backup was Rob Hulse, similar sort of player, not as good as Helgeson, but similar. The two we've got at the minute, Frey is that sort of all action hold up player, and Salah seems completely different. So you haven't got a backup to you. You just got to play a completely different style every time you play a forward. And they did it last year with Dykes and Armstrong, completely different types of players. So you had to play differently each week when you swapped them around. And they've done it again. And it's all down to recruitment. It's not Celar's fault and it's not Frey's fault that we've done this again with who we've signed. There's no joined up thinking with how we want to play. I just don't get it at all. And I do feel for him, but like I said, I think it's 10 years of us signing poor strikers for good money. And it's come to this point, and I think people are just fed up of it now. It's like, oh God, we've done it again. We've spent millions on another one, and he's going to be the same. And he's feeling the wrath of it. Whilst there was probably a lot more patience for the other ones that didn't work out.
Yeah, I think if he was a youth player coming through, there'd be more
Yeah,
patience. Like it's one of those, isn't it? And like I said, I acknowledge he's been poor. I'm not saying he's played well. I just think there's factors in play where where the team aren't helping him at all. And like you were right to mention Connor Washington because that makes me think back when we had him and we had Sebastian Polter. So there's a good
yeah,
comparison with Michael Frey and Celar, how they're so different. I remember us playing Connor Washington when Polter was out as a lone striker, and the club just never seems to learn, does it?
no, well,
There's definitely a case of as well of him not being on the same wavelength as the players yet. Maybe he's struggling with the language coming in. We have to hope it comes, obviously, and it's only going to come if he plays. So I know I'm in an ever decreasing minority saying this, but I think if he can just get one goal, we'll see a different player. I mean, he was the top scorer in a country. He has to have something in there. So please hope he can come good. And of course, let us know your thoughts on Celar and the R's in general in the comments. Meanwhile, for us, it's prediction time. Like I said, 7 league games without a win. It's the worst run under Marty Cifuentes. Can we avoid making it 8 without a win? And can we repeat that infamous win from last year?
well, it was very QPR to give Portsmouth their first win of the season last week, and it'd be very QPR to do all that and then go to Burnley and win. So it wouldn't surprise you if we do go there and pull off a shock result. But realistically, the way we're playing, you can only really see a Burnley win. To be honest, I'd say 2-0 to Burnley. They should beat us if they're at it. They're a better team than us, so they should win.
Yeah, we probably need them to have an off day, don't we? And
Yeah,
QPR to go up a few levels like we discussed. If we don't win here, it will mean QPR have gone the whole of September and October without a win. I can't see us getting a win either. I know we won here last time, but that was probably the most fluke win QPR have ever got. I think a draw here would be a pretty fantastic result because I think a draw away from home at a team as high as Burnley would give us some confidence then for the games to
yeah.
come. Don't think that would be a bad result. But can we get through 90 minutes without these ridiculous individual errors, etc.? I damn doubtful. And it's hard to see us scoring against them too. They've, like I said, they kept multiple clean sheets. I think I'd go for 2-0 Burnley. Sorry. No midweek games next week though, so we'll be back later next week to preview the home match against table topping Sunderland. So it won't get any easier if we don't get points at Burnley. Until then, thank you for watching once again, and come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.